I'm JH, and in this video I'll be talking about the 2022 Italian Grand Prix, the 16th round of the 2022 F1 season. Please note that everything I said is based on facts and of course my own opinions. So, without further ado, let's start the video. First of all, let's see some of the news that's been going on before the race. Well, Red Bull is pushing for Colton Herta to join AlphaTauri, but it's kind of complicated because of the super license requirement. Red Bull and Porsche will not be collaborating in 2026, and Alex Albon will skip this race due to appendicitis, replaced by Nick de Vries. Anyway, let's get to their performances. Even after the grid penalty, Max pretty much had no trouble getting past anyone except maybe Charles. Even then, after Leclerc pit, Verstappen had a lonely race. Despite the not so huge gap between him and Charles at the end, Max ended up finishing the race in P1, thus solidifying his lead on the Drivers' Championship even more. Sergio got a 10th place grid penalty after an engine change and didn't really have the best first lap, getting passed by 3 drivers in lap 1. Nonetheless, the Mexican managed to gain some positions after that before being forced to pit early after experiencing brake problems. Later, Perez managed to recover nicely and finish the race in P6. After getting another pole, Charles looked capable of holding Max in the early laps. In addition, he also got lucky with the virtual safety car, but that pit stop is way too close, and if he didn't come out in front of Ricciardo, it could ruin his race. Anyway, Charles ran mostly in 2nd and 3rd place, I think. Then he had some engine problem later on, but didn't seem to affect him that much. Charles had a chance to win after pitting for softs on the latter part of the race, however the race didn't continue and ended behind the safety car. In the end, Charles finished the race in P2. Sainz started from 18th due to power unit penalties but managed to rapidly gain positions at the race. Like Leclerc, he could finish higher after changing to softs under the safety car, but in the end there was no restart. Carlos still managed to finish P4, which is a great result considering where he started on the grid. Russell challenged Leclerc for the lead in the first lap but was forced to run wide, thus failed to overtake. He then got passed quite easily by Verstappen at around lap 5. However, other than that, George seems to be quite comfy in 3rd, having no real competitor. In the end, he finished P3. Lewis took a grid penalty after 4th power unit change, and despite not having the best start that put him to last place, he managed to clear out drivers on slower cars in front of him quite easily. Well, except for maybe Tsunoda and Alonso. Hamilton ended up finishing P5, which is not bad. Lando started 3rd after other drivers' grid penalties, but lost 5 positions at the start after alleged faulty settings. He had some battles with Alonso that he won, but a slow pit stop cost him some places. In the end, Norris finished 7th, losing 1 position after stopping behind the last safety car. All things considered, he didn't really put a foot wrong this week. Raced Q3 in quali, ran in the top 10 for most of the race, and looks to score some good points. However, engine problem forced him to retire and made the race to finish under the safety car after the stewards can't really move his car out of the way. Gasly ran as high as 5th early on between both McLarens, but he made a mistake on the chicane while trying to overtake Ricciardo. Mostly the French ran in the top 10 and managed to finish the race in P8. Tsunoda received a 10th place grid penalty after the Zandvoort scandal. Nevertheless, the Japanese had a good opening lap, passing both Bottas and Hamilton. However, after that, he didn't really have any other notable actions, finishing 14th. I'd say it's a perfect debut for Nick. Despite the lack of practice session, he got into Q2, had a good pace, managed to hold back Joe for the majority of the race, and scored 2 points by finishing 9th. This race shows that Latifi doesn't have what it takes to drive in F1. Geez, even after starting P10, he dropped to 17th in a heartbeat. Latifi did have some overtakes, but overall it's another poor performance by the Canadian. He got beaten by his own teammate, the one that only had around 30 minutes of practice, in the same machinery. Latifi finished P15, second last amongst the car on track. Zhou Ran is tied of the top 10 for most of the race, but mostly during the latter stage. The Chinese tried, but in the end failed to get past the Prix in 9th. He ended up finishing the race in P10. Bottas was one of the drivers that got a grid penalty, but it didn't affect his starting position that much. He's only down 3 places instead of 15 due to other drivers' penalties. He bumped into Magnussen on the first turn, resulting in a little damage that affected his pace. For most of the race, he ran in the lower midfield and finished P13. Alonso managed to get into Q3 in quali, and on the race mostly ran between 6th and 7th, battling with Lando. However, a water pump problem forced him to retire at around lap 30. Ocon received a grid penalty for engine change and had some battle with Perez early on, but on the race, most of the time he ran right outside of top 10. In the end, Esteban finished P11, just outside of the points. Mick was another driver that received a grid penalty for engine as well as gearbox. That being said, he was the slowest in Q1, so it's not really affecting him. On the race, Schumacher bumped into Bottas early on but managed to keep his position. He then had a few overtake moves that bumped him up to 12th and was on track to chase Ocon or even Joe. But the safety car at the end of the race forced him to finish P12. Magnussen got the 15th place grid penalty because of component changes, but like Schumacher, did not really affect him that much considering his performance in Q1. On the race, he got a 5-second penalty for leaving the track to gain advantage, got some damage after an accident that affected his pace, and ended up finishing P16, last amongst all on-track cars. Vettel had bodywork problems that prevented him on getting through Q1. On the race, he had battles with Stroll as well as Latifi, but loss of power forced him to retire in around lap 10. Stroll didn't really have much of an action on this race. Bad quali, had some battles with Vettel, ran mostly in the lower midfield, and at around lap 40 I think, got told by his team to retire due to engine problem. My best driver for this race is Nick de Vries. I mean, it's literally his debut race. He got through Q2 and scored a couple of points as well in a Williams car. Here are the standings after the 16th round. Anyway, yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you like it, please share, like, and subscribe. See you in the next video, and yeah, have a nice day.